Oh, that's really good.
Coming up, can I get the Leica look from a Canon camera? How bad can it be? So today we're going to do Canon R5 versus Leica SL2. I'm interested to see if I can get good photos from a Canon or whether it's all down to having a nice Leica camera. If you're a new viewer, I'm a Leica photographer based in the UK. I review Leica cameras, but I've never tried a Canon. And to try and make it fair, we've put the same lens on both cameras. We both own the Light Lens Lab 35f2 8-element collapsible. So as I just rebought mine, so we're going to do the same settings, ISO 100, probably f2 on both for most of the photos. Sophie's coming, our model. You may recognise her from another video. So Toby can try this one. I'll try the Canon, and then I'll feedback at the end how the user experience is with the Canon compared to a Leica. I'll share on the screen after side by side similar photos with both cameras, and we can see if we can tell a difference. Shooting raw on both, obviously manual focus because they're copies of vintage lenses. We're both used to vintage lenses and manual focusing, so that bit's easy. We're both model photographers, so that bit's easy. I thought for a bit of fun, we'll take turns to pick the location. Toby normally shoots colour, I normally shoot black and white, but we've got both cameras set as colour, so I think I may already lose, but yeah, we'll see how we get on.
Let's head over to the model shoot.
Welcome, Matt here from MrLeica.com. So while we're waiting for Sophie to get ready, we did some test shots with our videographer for the day, Thomas.
Do you want to stand here?
Yeah.
One. Shoot the same here. You block out the flare, right?
Yeah. So wasting no time, let's look at the first test results, Leica versus Canon with Canon on the bottom. And then here you've got Canon on the left, Leica on the right. Canon files look slightly warmer, but let me know in the comments what you think. And then these are the same photos where they're edited with a Mr. Leica preset, either the Canon presets, I'll put a link below to the Canon presets, or the Leica SL2 presets. Okay, next on to location number 1. So the plan is we're going to go to over there to find some bokeh. 125.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Now it's better. Shoot.
Yeah, no.
Now the sun is
They're really good too. No. You've been practicing. Nice. Really pretty. Oh, that's really good. I did one long one just for the end. Looking on the camera rear LCDs, photos look reasonably similar as we're using, as I say, the same lens on both cameras, but it won't be until we get it onto the computer that we can really tell the difference between the two systems. To start off with, I was using my own camera, the Leica, and I've just switched now to the Canon R5, so this you'll see me out of my comfort zone. You say the joystick zooms in?
No, the loop button says this one zooms in.
Yes. Nice.
And I just need to get used to the camera.
Yeah,
so
right.
Okay. And then off press the shutter button. I need to get used to this somehow.
Toby normally shoots with like M9Ps, and so the SL2 is a bit different for him. So you try and shoot on the darker side.
My idea is to place her right in the middle of the two trees, so I have darker bokeh here and darker bokeh here.
Yeah.
And she's covering the...
Yeah. Oh, I don't like this non-zoom thing, where he doesn't zoom back. You can see the raw photos from both cameras side by side.
Cool. The tilting is good because you have great light on the... Wow, that's cool. Right, keep your nose this direction, or like, yeah, that's better.
The lighting was quite difficult where we started, and we'll try not to blow out the background highlights. You can see the raw files. The SL2 looks slightly darker, but once you add the preset, I'd say they're reasonably similar. Obviously it depends on how you edit your photos, but I got a reasonably warm tone from both once I'd edited them. And obviously you can retain more highlights or less highlights to taste when you're editing. I focus on the model and less on the background in this example. Okay, here was me shooting with both film and digital. Nice.
Oh,
You can do that.
so like
so that's like 1, 2, 3. So,
You're working harder than me.
okay, time to move on to location number 2. Hold on to your hats. We're going to change the lighting setup to try to see how the cameras perform in different situations. To start with, as we saw, was bright background highlights. Now we're going to try and find a bit of cover. This is somewhere that I shoot a lot. This is Barbican in London. So I know this bit, I quite like this with the pillars and the green water, and you can get some light bouncing up off the water, which you can then use to highlight and light the face. So you can see Thomas is now stopping to take a few photos with his Leica M3. So I think Toby must be doing video at this point. You can see the highlight of from the water onto the ceiling, and there you can see the result of the water bouncing light up onto the face. Let us know in the comments, are you a Leica user, Canon user, maybe both like Toby? Can you see a difference between the two photos, and which do you prefer, Canon or Leica? Here you can see another setup close to where we were just shooting. It was pretty much midday sun, so we're using a little 30cm-ish pop-up reflector really close to Sophie, just out of frame, to stop the highlight burn on the side of her face. And then we shot both cameras side by side. Currently we're using 50mm lenses, so the SL2's got a Sumar lens and the Canon's got the Light Lens Lab Elcan 50f2, both 50f2 but slightly different bokeh. Okay, while Sophie enjoys 5 minutes sitting in the sun, let me tell you a bit more about the Canon R5 and the Leica SL2. Here you can see both cameras side by side. They're roughly the same size. Canon is slightly smaller, slightly lighter. One benefit of the Canon is you've got a flippy articulating screen compared to the fixed screen on the SL2. You'll need the SL3 or SL3S for a tilt screen. The Canon feels more like my Lumix than the Leica, more buttons, a bit more plasticky feeling, but it's got the same high resolution viewfinder and it's about 200 grams lighter. If we take a close look, these cameras are both pretty similar with a around 45 megapixel sensor and twin card slots. Okay, on to location number 3. So it's time for a quick makeup check, coffee stop, and relax as we get changed ready for the next outfit. If you'd love to get into model photography but just don't know where to start, I can link my full ebook below. One thing I suggest is if you're doing multiple outfit changes to work close to a coffee shop, you can then after you change in the coffee shop, you can get refreshments, coffee in this example, food, etc. And it works well, especially for new models where they feel less comfortable changing in public. Here are the sample photos shot in the coffee shop or the restaurant. Raw photos side by side, they're not too different. Apart from the bokeh, as I say, we're using these 50mm lenses, so slightly different bokeh. But these are some of my favourite photos from the day, both the Canon and the Leica SL2. If I'm honest, I'd probably say I couldn't tell the difference, even though I'm a Leica nut and you think maybe I'd be able to spot a Leica photo from a non-Leica photo. On to location number 4. So this is now afternoon, so we had slightly lower sun. It was maybe, I don't know, maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see there I've got the Wotan Craft, a new limited edition bag that they kindly sent me, the salt and pepper bag. If you've seen them on their website, I can link Wotan Craft bags below if you're trying to get a new camera bag and like the look of that one. Because we've got the low sun, I thought I'd set up the lighting scrim idea that I talked about in my last video. If you've not seen that video yet about lighting from filmmakers, definitely check it out. There's some really good kind of hacks that I think photographers often don't think about, and they're so obvious when you think about them, and filmmakers do them all the time. So it was time for me to swap from the Leica to the Canon. As you can see, we're both using autofocus lenses now. So we've got the 35mm autofocus lens on the Canon, and I've got an 85mm Lumix lens on the Leica. I'll do a video of that one soonish. So they're not going to be like for like side by side, but we just wanted to see how the different sensors compared, even though we're using different formats, and also the speed of the autofocus. Here you can see the results out of camera, unedited, Canon versus Leica. One thing to notice, that the speed of the autofocus on the Canon is absolutely instant and just blows the Leica out of the water. So if you like your autofocus, consider Canon. But in terms of the colours, I got really nice colours from both, especially once I developed a preset for the Canon files. Okay, so what is the verdict? Can I get a Leica look from the Canon camera? Obviously the Leica look is a bit of a myth, but I guess the question is, can I get a look that I like from the Canon camera? And the answer is yes, I think I can. In terms of usability, I much prefer using the Leica. The less buttons, the more simple, minimal design. the joystick to half press on a manual focus lens to zoom in. Price wise, these cameras are really similar. 2,400 for the Canon, 2,000, maybe 500, 600 for the Leica used price on MPB. The Canon's strength is definitely the autofocus, and I think for work, it's like a work camera, maybe you're shooting weddings or commercial work as Toby does, it's a no-brainer to have a camera that just takes the pressure off and just does it all for you. If you love manual focus or vintage lenses, I think you'll prefer Leica cameras to the Canon. The Canon magnification button I had to press 3 times to go from magnification to full screen to compose and shoot, compared to half pressing the shutter on the Leica to see full frame. That being said, the Canon R5 can take very nice photos, especially when edited with the preset. Links below, and a huge thanks to Toby for letting me borrow his work camera, his Canon R5. For personal work, Toby tends to use his M9 or his Phase 1. Okay, what about making this video and behind the scenes? If you're interested in how we shot this video, it was all shot with Leica cameras. I'll make a full video on the video setup and the settings that we're using, and I'll also share behind the scenes on Patreon. You can join Patreon for free. I can put a link below to Patreon where we share some stuff like this. I was using vintage lenses on Leica cameras, and as you can see, sometimes it was less practical and sometimes it looked a bit more of a fancy setup. Big thanks to Thomas for shooting most of the video. If you enjoyed this style of video, please hit the like button, and I'll know to try and do more in this style. This was the first one recording in L-Log instead of standard. Subscribe to see more.